Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today I'm going to be testing a new cell phone booster from a company called HiBoost. I wanted to see how it would compare. I'm in the middle of my local national forest, and I'm going to show you the difference and how much of a difference it actually makes so that you can make a decision whether something like this would be a good value for you in your overlanding or dispersed camping journey. So if you want to learn more about the HiBoost, what comes with it, kind of see everything and get my feelings on it, because I've had a couple of these cell phone boosters now, so I'm going to kind of compare them a little bit. And then also see the before and after cell phone tests to see what it's like and what the actual upload and download speeds are without the cell booster and with the cell booster. Stay tuned. Again, to make this video, I just wanted to do a quick test. I'm going to plug it into a power bank. I'm going to hook it up and we're going to run the test just so that you can see what it's like before and after the HiBoost is turned on. All right, guys, so as I mentioned, today I'm going to be showing you this HiBoost. We're going to be doing some speed tests, but I wanted to first start and walk you through some of the cool things that come with this that didn't come with my HiBoost, or at least not that I remember, because I've had it for several years now, but I'm pretty sure it didn't come with all this stuff. So one of the things that this comes with is the big long antenna, which I had with my HiBoost 2. Unfortunately, off-roading it fairly aggressively ended up resulting in that getting completely shattered. This plastic part on the top got smashed on a tree branch, and so I lost that antenna. So now I'm currently running it off of a much shorter antenna, which I'll show you here. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that this thing is really solid, like really heavy. The Wilson HiBoost is definitely lighter than this from a feel standpoint. So what I wonder is if these heat sinks are a little bit thicker and maybe a little bit more rugged. Like, I wonder if they're going to hold up a little bit better and maybe be able to dissipate heat a little bit better. I've never had any problems with the HiBoost, but this thing definitely feels more substantial than the HiBoost was. Again, if you're not familiar with these things, you basically got an outdoor input, which is going to allow you to plug in your antenna. That's going to come in from the outdoor. Then you've got your indoor output, which is going to go to an amplifier, basically. It's just like a little small plastic device that you would run up towards the front of your vehicle, you know, close to where your phone is going to be. And then that is basically going to take the amplified signal. So the external antenna grabs it, pushes it through this amplifier, and then pushes it out through the internal amplifier to your cell phone. So it gives you better cell signal, even when the signal is not very great and you're in the middle of nowhere. So that's basically the basics of the unit. But again, really impressed with the quality of this thing and the heft of it, because generally heavier means better. It means it's going to last a little bit longer. So anyways, impressed with that initially. Another thing that's pretty cool that I'm pretty sure I never got with my HiBoost is you do get an AC plug for it too. So if you wanted to run this in like a cabin or something, if you wanted to run this in a place where, you know, you were mostly running off cell signal, but maybe the signal was really sketchy, like if you had like an Airbnb or a cabin or something, you could run this thing off of AC, which is a really nice included thing. And then another thing that I really like is, I didn't get this with the HiBoost, I don't think either, but they give you this really nice panel, which I'm actually going to use this on the side of my rooftop tent to attach my big, you know, off-road antenna, if you will. So I like that they give you this bracket. I think I had to buy a bracket for mine, for the other one, at least one like this sort of L-shaped form factor to be able to mount it securely on the side of my tent. So I do like that they include that with it as well. All right, but so I don't want to bore you too much. I do want to quickly sort of run you through everything else that comes in here. Those were sort of the highlights, the things that I noticed that were different, again, than the HiBoost. But so then here you've got, these are all the pieces for your big sort of off-road antenna. So these basically all screw together so you can kind of select your height, right? If you want one of these, or you could put a second one on and make it super tall. Then it's got this bottom piece which has a pass-through for it so that your cord can actually come out of it. So that is all included in there as well. Then you've got some U-brackets, and then these are additional mounting hardware to go with this. So if you wanted to mount this around like a rounded pole, maybe on like your bed rack or something like that, you've got some options to do that with this hardware that they include with it as well. Then you've got your spring for your antenna, because again, mine had a spring on it too for the old one. You want it to be able to move. If you come up against a tree or something like that, you want it to have some flexibility so it's not just going to break off immediately. You've got this extension cord here, which goes with the big exterior RV style mount. So basically you would run this cable again down through your posts here, and then out the bottom, and then you would plug it into this extension, run this through, you know, your firewall or wherever you're going to pass this through, into the cab, to the booster itself here, into the outdoor spot. That's going to go in right through there. Okay, so this basically would plug into, this would be the inside one that you would plug in and run through your vehicle. It is magnetic on the bottom, or then it does come with an adhesive pad. So if you needed to stick it to plastic or something like that, you could use this to stick it to pretty much anything, or again, it will magnetize to something metal. So this will then spread that amplified boosted cell signal throughout your cab of your vehicle or your RV or whatever. Again, when you click through the link in the description down below, there are multiple versions of this. So just make sure that you check out the version that you're looking at and you get the right one for you. All right, guys, so for the purpose of this test, again, this is just a temporary setup. I've kind of got it leaning on the front of my tent here. A couple things to point out, which they also point out in their user manual, which is really nice, is you typically don't want the external antenna very close to the internal amplifier antenna. So right now I've got the amplifier sitting on my tailgate, so I move this around to the front of the tent. And then you need it to be high up. So when I mount this, I will probably mount it in the channel on the tent so that it sticks up, a foot and a half above the top of the tent. So it is the highest point on the vehicle. So again, I've got that strung around there for now. And then on the tailgate here, I just have the booster set up. You can see all the lights are blue, which is a good sign. This is your amplifier antenna that's meant for the inside. Again, it's magnetic, or you can use the adhesive to stick it up. And then it's plugged in here to the power bank. I'm gonna unplug this phone here and this other thing so that we can see how much power it draws, because I do want to show you that. So with it pulling power right now, it's pulling about 12 watts. So just FYI, it's pulling about 12 watts. My power bank is telling me that it could run this nonstop for 22 hours at that rate. So, but just be aware that that is a decent amount of power draw, right? So 12 watts is what it pulls when you are running this thing. Now, another nice thing is it does have a USB-A plug on this. So you do get some use for it. If you were plugging this into your DC plug inside, you could also then run additional things off of that USB-A, which is a nice feature. But again, let's run the speed test here really quick so you can see like the before the cell booster's turned on. So we'll turn this off, we're gonna unplug it. We're gonna run that test. All right, guys, so as you can see here, this is the speed test app that they recommend to use to test your speed. So this is without the HiBoost booster turned on. So I am in the middle of my local national forest here. So as you see, pretty low speeds, like just barely enough signal to even get a text through. So 1.4 megabytes per second download. And then the upload speed ends up being 0.3 megabytes per second upload. And then now that it's plugged back in again, now we're going to run the test again. So this time the HiBoost has been plugged in, the antenna is sitting up on top of my truck, and so let's see the difference, the increase. Remember those original numbers were a little under 1.5 download speed and about 0.3 megabytes upload speed. So as you can see here, the download speed with the HiBoost on is around 10 megabytes. So what is that, 6+ times faster? And then the upload speed instead of 0.3 ends up being around 2.1 megabytes upload. So again, multiple times better. All right, guys, so as you saw, right, the people that talk in the comments that maybe have never owned one of these, that have read a couple things on a Facebook, group online or something, people seem to have a lot of hate for these things. I don't really understand it. I understand that they are a fairly decent expense. And now with things like Starlink and things like that, it does make it a little bit trickier, right? Like you do have to really think, because this is in the $500 ballpark. But the Starlink, especially for the mobile one, is what, $2,000, $2,500? And then there's a $150 monthly subscription. Is it amazing? And can you get 100 megabyte internet out in the middle of nowhere? Yes. But do you have to pay for it? Absolutely. That's what I like about these cell signal boosters, is that it's a buy once, cry once. You pay the $500, you get the cell booster, right? And then with that cell booster, you basically have it forever. It doesn't require any subscriptions. You don't have to pay anything else. And as you saw in the test there, we went from almost nothing from an upload and download speed to, 5-6 times what we were getting before with the cell booster, which is huge, right? Again, if you're looking to like stream shows or watch TikToks or watch YouTube or watch Netflix out in the woods, then you probably ought to pay all the money and get a Starlink, right? Like that's the only thing that's really going to allow you to do that. But if you're like me, what actually kind of inspired me to get one of these in the first place a few years ago was my wife called because our dog had eaten a pill and she was worried and taking it to the vet, and I kept dropping the call. I literally couldn't talk to her about it, and it freaked me out. And I got to thinking, I have kids, if something happened to the kids, something happens to the dog, I want to be able to at least get text messages through and or calls. These things also do tend to work even better for calls than they do for data. So just an FYI on that too. Those numbers mean something, right, for the upload download, but from a call perspective, you can get that call through, you can have a conversation with your spouse, loved one, whoever's calling you, friend, family. It's a huge thing to be able to get that call through and be able to complete that call, even when you're out in the middle of nowhere like this and you have very poor cell reception. So again, link will be in the description down below. Hopefully that was helpful for you and showed you some real world data, actual in-use data on this HiBoost. Very impressive, right? Like super impressive. All these cell boosters that I've ever seen have been really impressive and definitely make a big difference, especially if you're going to strap it to your rig and have it on there 24/7. Now, the battery consumption consumption is something to be aware of. I basically have mine hooked up through like a Switch Pro through my Red Arc, and I only turn it on when I'm on a trip. So like right now I have mine turned on. I'll let it run all night so that I can use it if I need to, but then my solar will charge it back up tomorrow. The alternator will charge it back up, and then my battery will go back up till full. So just something to be aware of though. There is some power consumption stuff, so you don't want to leave it on 24/7 unless you have a big capacity secondary house battery and some sort of solar or way to charge that. You only want to use it when you need it. You can use this though. Another nice thing is GPS, streaming music, things like that. When you're going through the countryside, like out to go dispersed camping, a lot of the times I will lose my maps and things like that. You kick on the booster and all of a sudden you've got enough data that you can, move maps back and forth or download it for offline use. And again, that little bit is what really makes it worth the money, right? You're not going to get 100 megabyte per second download speeds or upload speeds, right? That's just not going to happen. But if it literally changes the trajectory of your trip because you're able to download some offline maps, or you're able to get a text through to your significant other, that is what makes it worth it, right? Once, twice, 3 times of that, and it's, in my opinion, more than paid for itself. So again, I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that was good info. If it was, click that like button. If you've got any questions, post up in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer any questions you've got. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to click the subscribe button, click the bell to be notified when new videos drop. I do a couple every week, so usually like a gear video like this, some sort of like a general newbie overlanding type thing, or general overlanding topic type stuff, or do-it-yourself modifications, gear mods, that kind of thing. So anything to do with camping, dispersed camping, overlanding, outdoors, anything like that, this may be a good channel for you. Also below this video will be a join button. That's just sort of a passive way to support the channel. It also gets you some perks and some early access to the video. So you'll get to see stuff before anybody else does, which is pretty cool. Then there's a link to my Patreon group where we've got a 24/7 Discord. We all chat in that constantly. And we do a once-a-month Zoom call. And we also do a couple trips every year. So if you want to be more actively involved with all things overlanding, love to have you as a patron. And then last but not least, there's the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group. Totally free to join. Awesome people in there. No bullying like the big group. So if you're looking for some place to come and ask questions and not be bullied, that would be a good place to start. But again, thanks for watching. Hope that was helpful, and we'll see you next time.